Hi, welcome to XReality podcast. I'm the host, Dominic Wu, and beside me is our guest, Brent Bushnell. Hi, Brent. Could you share a little bit about your background with us?
Hey Dominique, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Gosh, yeah, my background, I've been building games and attractions for, 20 something years. And really love public exhibition, high throughput, lots of people getting to experience it. Uh have done things at the Super Bowl and the Olympics we had a traveling carnival for years and ultimately opened up a permanent facility, 50,000 square feet in downtown LA.
Wow.
A whole variety of different immersive attractions from VR to our version of escape rooms we call story rooms. It had a whole kind of reimagined arcade with a lot of indie arcades that we incubated. And now working in mixed reality, using kind of the next evolution from VR to be able to overlay experiences on just about anything. And we call that Dream Park, and it's been a real exciting road because we prototyped it at Two Bit Circus and in my micro amusement park in downtown LA. And we had an empty parking lot and had people biking around, on a little adult big wheel. And, in the headset, you see a whole track and coins to collect and barriers to avoid and all this, all these exciting game mechanics, but at the end of the day, we were just in an empty parking lot. Uh, being able to sort of really see how powerful that was, it really broke my brain. And here we had, metric tons of equipment in our micro amusement park. I mean, when we designed the experience in 2016 to provide 5 feet of immersive entertainment, a 5 foot radius, we needed so much gear and so many thousands of dollars of computers and hardware and complexity and cables and all this stuff, and still it was 5 foot radius, and the VR made you nauseous if you move the headset, if you move the camera. Uh, and so, in mixed reality, you move your body, and that's moving the camera. And so all of a sudden you can embody so many experiences. And
Wow.
this is really our core thesis with Dream Park, and we're overlaying it on a whole variety of different venues, from mall common areas to big empty warehouses and walking malls and music festivals and parties and you name it. We're trying to bring it.
That's very cool. So you guys are located in Santa Monica, right?
We have an experience in Santa Monica, yeah, down the Third Street Promenade. There's a for
Wow. I used to live in Third Street and California Avenue. I used to live there.
So cool. It's beautiful. You're just 3 blocks from the beach. It's absolutely gorgeous. And here we've got this tree lined walking mall, and so we overlaid our experience down that. And there's coins to collect and monsters to avoid, going down the west side of the block. And as you come up the the east side, there's lava pits and platforms to jump on, and the whole boss battle. So we've really, whole magical layer on top of the north block.
Wow, I remember when I was living in Santa Monica, I used to run in the morning along the beach. And I always told myself, wow, I was so lucky to live in that beautiful place. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can run. Yeah.
So to vacation there and be tourists there. I mean, it is truly magical. And the thing that is absolutely bananas is, or COVID,
Oh,
our big micro amusement park in downtown LA was about 6 times as expensive as the rent we were paying in to be 3 blocks from the beach, in Santa Monica. COVID, the world just completely went upside down, topsy turvy. It's crazy, and so yeah, things that I never thought possible. We could be just right on the beach.
yeah. And you mentioned that it's like a VR experience, right? And in empty house, or could you share with us like what's the feeling? For example, what's the user experience? User need to get in and then wear it. Something very similar to maybe the void. I don't know. Like describe it.
Yeah, great question. The Void, Sandbox VR, Hologate, a lot of these, traditional location-based entertainment VR attractions, very immersive. Your whole view is replaced with a zombie infestation in a haunted house, or
Yeah.
magical flight through a magical land. Your whole view is replaced. What we are doing is not that, right? This is not virtual reality. We are doing mixed reality, and mixed reality is different. Think of, mixed reality is imagine, these new headsets, the Meta Quest 3 and the 3S. They
Mm,
have cameras facing out in most directions, and then they synthesize a view of the world to be able to represent it to your eyes. So you're looking at real-time video of the world around you, right? It's lower res than if you didn't have the goggles on, but you do see the world around you. And so you could go up a set of stairs, you could go downstairs, you could jump over a pit in the ground. You can see the world around you. But you can also augment that video. And so this is where we start to say, hey, for this very specific location, we're going to put the lava pit over here and the
mm,
boss battle over there. And the beginning of the adventure starts by the fountain. And all of a sudden, you are walking along as if you were Super Mario Brothers or some platforming character. You're walking along and you're the one collecting coins and jumping around and,
mm,
having to beat the bad guys. And so we try to embody you to embody characters in
mm,
order to be able to feel what it's like to, run around. And because,
mm,
you're moving your actual body,
mm,
when the camera view moves, people don't get as nauseated. A lot of
mm,
VR that moves the camera, people get nauseated. And which video games don't move the camera? Drop names, first person shooters, platformer games, I mean, they do, the list goes on and on. And so I really see a whole ginormous fun playground in new content built for mixed reality.
Yeah, and may I ask you, like, in the document and in your website, you mentioned that it's a downloadable theme parks. May I ask you, is that an app currently in MetaQuest Store app, or how can I download it?
Yeah, right now we work with a venue and an operator to bring it to a location. So people say, "Hey, I've got the perfect location for a dream park," and we're looking for 10, 20, 30,000 square feet. And so we've had different folks across the country say, "Hey, I've got 20,000 square feet, the common area." You know, and so then we work with them in order to get the headsets there, and so that they can run an attraction. They are going to
Mm.
rent the headsets so the people can experience it just like they would be experiencing an escape room. Uh,
Oh, so pretty much all the download app is probably pre-downloaded. They rent your headset.
They rent the headset from an operator. So so we've got a dream park in Seattle now, 25,000 square feet on a ship canal. We've got the one at Santa. We're working on multiple other locations across the country so that anybody in each of those cities could go and get tickets to go to Dream Park, and then they would find some local operator who would be providing it.
I see. So it's more of very similar to the void, but the void feels like there's a dedicated place, dedicate. You see, like in the mall. I remember, yeah, I forgot which mall when the void was still there. Uh, I I remember in Santa Monica there was the void as well. So
Yeah, in fact,
yeah,
we are Two-Bit Circus's pop-up is in their old space. So
yeah, yeah. And I remember that I haven't tried the dream park, but I tried the void. I remember that time when I saw it was Star Wars. When I saw the villain guy in front of me, and I feel so real, and I was shocked. I forgot to shoot that button, even though in my head, I keep telling myself it's fake, but I still feel so real that I couldn't even. I just feel like it is so real. I was terrified.
it's
So
magical.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you think of like the Richie's Plank experience and some of the early, Dreamscape, and these really felt like, especially when you merge the physical and the digital, where you've put, Dreamscape, you reached your hand out and you got to pet a alien dinosaur. I mean, it was amazing. And when you get that immersion, it completely hacks your brain.
I remember a long time ago, probably 2018 in VRLA. I went there and they have like the traditional one, like the VR, right? And the interesting thing is like I forgot the experience is very similar to Walking Dead. So they put it's like everybody were lining up and trying to get into a kind of like a abandoned like a bus, abandoned bus, and everybody sit. It's like you sit in the bus, right? And there were real human hiding around somewhere. And when there's something happen, they will really grab you. And I can hear
Yeah.
like it's like a scream all the time. And I heard that people who experience that, the Walking Day types of zombie experience, they said that it's so real because it's a real human grabbing you.
Yeah, it really convinces you. I mean, and not for nothing, Skip Rizzo at USC, uses VR to rehab, war veterans from PTSD. It's so compelling. It's so immersive that he's able to help them, sort of work through traumatic events in a way that no other technology can do as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing, this stuff for entertainment, that we can have these reactions and it can bring
Mm.
all this adrenaline and crazy responses. It's beautiful. And that it could be a tool for therapy, and a tool for learning. And this is, I am as excited about the entertainment side. I spend a lot of my life on the entertainment side. Uh, but I do really love the learning side too. And I think immersive tech, it's just so much better at bringing you bring emotion to a learning experience. You're going to learn it better.
Yeah, right.
More of your senses to a learning experience. You're going to learn it better. The memory is going to last longer. And so the more that it feels like real life, the better. And when you're just like reading a book or listening to a lecture, it's
Mm.
not nearly as good as making decisions in the environment with something you really care about.
Yeah, right.
What if the challenge was, infiltrate this toy store, or this toy, take the toy factory, and fix the conveyor belt. You're going to learn a little bit about mechanics and a little bit about gears and a little bit about toy manufacturing. And by the time you're done with this module, you'll be 1/10 of the way through fourth grade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the interesting thing about how to align, like a class outcome in gamification, especially in XR, is very, very important because I heard a lot of like an interesting game, like gamification and education. It's like obviously it works together. However, I heard a lot of professors, because I mean, I'm also teaching at Kenyatta College. So I heard a lot of professors that, oh, this is great. Because I heard one of the math teachers said that, oh, it's great. But after student playing, like for example, he is teaching sine, cosine, right? Yeah, like the angle and physics. And then, yeah, like for example, he said that, hey, design a game of basketball, like throwing basketball and learning how sine, cosine angles doing. And I was like, yeah, maybe we can do like a Angry Bird, right? You shoot, right?
Yeah.
However, it's interesting because you need to deliver a course in that place. And if we just have an Angry Bird, right, and guessing the angle, it's easy, right? You're just like, oh, this one, that one. But why this to be like that? That teaching part make it fun. Let's go back to the core question: it's the learning outcome. So At the end, it becomes that teacher need to figure it out the core, which is something that he kept teaching for 20 years, has to turn it to be fun in order to integrate with that, Angry Bird game. So, I think, yeah, gamification is great. We all know that that's make it fun. However, if we have too much fun and there's no education side, then after that, teacher just said, "Oh God, they just have like a lot of fun. They love it, but they didn't learn anything. I still need to teach that in my course." So yeah, I still think about maybe there's maybe teacher teach first, and then gamification is the assignment. You've already learned something. I really don't know. I'm still brainstorming.
Or
Yeah.
even as a start, 50-50 theory and practice.
Yeah.
I think that going back and forth between, hey, here's some theoretical application and why we do it like this, and here now practice it. And I think what your, professor, he was like, hey, here's about sine and cosine and trajectories. Now go implement it. Make a game. You have to implement the algorithm that's going to represent this for this video game. So that's good theory and practice. You're having to sort of do both.
Yeah.
I think the more that becomes, those things become integrated. If you think about Super Mario Brothers, you don't read the manual before you start playing. You just mash the buttons for a little bit until you fall in pits enough times and realize that you can jump.
Yeah.
And only once you know about jumping and jumping on, shells, and you sort of slowly learn the mechanics of the world.
Yeah, right.
And a great video game sort of meets you along the path of learning every step of the way, and how can we create experiences like that have a learning hierarchy, a pedagogical goal. I think back to Dungeons and Dragons, and when you play D&D, you've got a dungeon master who sort of has a rough backbone of a story in mind, but you as the players get to really influence the direction that story takes, and a really good DM will really roll with you in the direction that you go. But they will, elaborate and but sort of still kind of keep you on the direction of the story. And I think that AI and immersive technologies, we could start to get to a pedagogical goal that is the outcome of this lesson, but yet the user has a reasonable amount of agency that they feel, so that it is real practice, but the theory could be baked in there too. So you've got a little bit of, the roller coaster's broken, but, so this is why the business is screwed up. First we got to learn about welding, because broken over here. So go and learn about welding. Here's about welding. This is aluminum, so we're going to use this kind of weld. And you in context, in situ, at the moment of application, are delivering the lesson. So that there's context and reality to it. And then the best part is you remember it like you do real life. You have a real life experience, all of your senses are involved. And even, and like we talked about earlier, even better if there was emotion, you learn it even longer. And so you're under pressure. We use it to open, you're going to get a huge bonus if you can get this thing fixed in time before the amusement park opens. It's like now they're stressed, and all of that is going to add to the learning outcome. And so anyway, I don't mean to get on stage.
I remember I played a couple of games that I think it's not necessarily VR game, but those games for me is like, wow, this is a really well-made educational games. I think that when they made it, they probably didn't have that education things in mind. I would highly recommend, for example, Assassin's Creed, is that they put you as a hero in the ancient Egypt time. And, when I was there, when I play it, because it's so real.
Dude.
And I was like, wow, because I need to assassin a lot of taxpayers, like the governor people. And I saw a lot of poor people got suffer from overtaxing. So, I'm not saying right now, right now we are enduring like overtaxing as well. But the interesting thing is that I I go online and trying to learn what's the history there. Because for me, it's like, why take, those governor are so nasty? Why they make people's lives so suffering by overtax? So
Ye-
I start learning why and I start feeling that wow, it's so immersed just by putting me as a hero, trying to assassinate all those like a fat rich guy and trying to rip off the poor people like a Robin Hood. So
Well,
I learned a lot.
well, so no joke. I love that you bring that up as the example because Ubisoft, the makers of Assassin's Creed, they employed a full-time historian so that when they
Mm.
made those games, it was historically accurate. I mean, their goal was entertainment first. Those are great video games, but they also delivered the learning. And a fun fact that I didn't know. They have a very French company, and when Notre Dame burned.
Oh yeah, they can offer that entire 3D model and it's real. I was like, wow, the game company.
Yes, and they were the ones with the best version, the best scan of the church. They used their scans as reference material to rebuild the church. I
Hmm.
mean, like this was literally so valuable. They had done such a good job of archiving. It's just so great. Here this video game company is going to be used not just for learning about Notre Dame, but helping to rebuild it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that those game companies are really, really diving into, for example, historical event. And another one I want to mention is like a Kerbal Space Program. I when I play it, it's so real that I couldn't even shoot a because you need to assemble the rocket in the real world way. It's just like a wow, you definitely need to get into the detail. And it's not only teaching you how to assemble the real kind of simulation, the rocket, but also you need to monetize it. It's like a business plus because yeah, you need to learn business way. It's pretty much I would say probably like Elon Musk trying to train the his sons, a group of sons, like how to, take over SpaceX. So it's
How they
it's
do
like
it.
a really
I
interesting.
so need to. You're the second person to bring this up. I gotta download. I've downloaded it. I haven't played it, but you're the second to bring it up, so I'm really gonna do it.
It's very hard to play. I mean, maybe because I'm not really
But that's a
good at. Yeah, yeah. So those I think for like a gamify and education, immersive, we all know that is the way to do it for right now. You see Gen Z or Gen Alpha. Roblox has the education plans. So Minecraft, they have like education plans. So I always think about like, yeah, it seems like the no brain implementation, but if you want to do it good, do it right. Just like you mentioned that you probably of not only the professional team of game dev, but also historian, right? Subject matter experts. I think both of them need to work very closely. Cannot just have one part because if you only have one part, this will falling apart. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a really great Pine and Gilmore did this sort of great book on increasing immersion in entertainment, and they talk about sort of the experience economy and how at a certain point everything is going to be we're going to care about stuff less and it's all about experiences and differentiating with experiences, and they postulate that after the experience economy is the transformation economy, where once everything is a new novel experience, now the experiences differentiate by their capacity to transform. And I
Mm.
think they were just so correct because we're there, and you can do not just a race, you could do a mud run or a Spartan run, with a whole bunch of crazy obstacles, right? You can do not just a, uh theater experience, but a whole interactive game show where you're part of it. These are in every town, now. And I think we're just starting to see a real, uh, the transformation component where, now you're going to go to, it's a mindfulness retreat, and you're going to come out with this. So you're going to, that mud run, you're getting exercise, and your head's in the game, as you're not, so concerned with the fact that you're suffering.
Yeah. I do think that, for example, like a mud run and also like some physical games. Um, I I think that right now the problem about the younger generation is that somehow the technology is over it's like overdone a lot of things. For example, like when I saw like a news about AI, like for example, uh, they have like a AI as their best friend. And I heard that, yeah, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg mentioned that, oh, American average only have 3 friends, something like that. I don't know where he find it. He want to add all the different chatbot to be like a 15, at least you have 3 real human friends, and you have like a 10 uh AI friends. I Yeah, so for me it's like I think if you just sit in front of the computer all day and receiving all the AI thing versus you go out and have mud run or even location based stuff to go out, just get out of your computer, right? So I do think that we need to encourage people to go out and explore the world instead of over over rely on digital stuff or over
Yeah.
overly
Yeah,
done.
because the data is not good. People on average are home alone, depressed. This is not a good trend, but the modern life has really made for so much convenience at every turn that you don't have to leave ever.
Yeah, right. Right. Like for example, like a delivery, right? It can deliver food to your home and it can deliver everything and you just stay in your home and everything you can use like online, and you can work remotely. You can just sit in front of the computer whole day. Yeah. And I realized that, yeah. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's Wall-E. It's a movie, everybody's just in their little mobile unit, being entertained to ad infinitum.
Yeah, yeah. And as for example, like let's say the location based, right? Like a dream park. Do you have any other like for example, like a different things? Like what do you have any content that you want to share about some exciting moment when the youths are getting?
Once we've got all these different locations, we overlay different kinds of experiences on that space. So we have, this one where you're collecting coins and jumping over lava, and there's a boss battle. We call Super Adventureland. We've also got Crash Course, which is on a real trike, a real adult tricycle, and you're pedaling around in like a drift trike adventure. Collecting coins, it's sort of like Super Mario Kart in real life.
Yeah, is this like a multiplayer or a single player
Multiplayer,
player?
multiplayer,
Wow.
and then
So
working on uh uh multiple new titles. One that has a whole scavenger hunt kind of mechanic with some crafting. You're making, some special stuff. Another one that's like a puzzle game. So we're working on a variety of different properties so that we can, think of them like movies. Now playing Super Adventureland, coming soon, Power Force. Our sci-fi puzzle game. So we got
yeah.
a few things in the works.
Yeah. So right now, do you have any like current, for example, you mentioned that you have 2 locations. What are those 2 locations content? Like
We're
yeah,
running
like
Super Adventureland in both LA and Seattle also has Crash Course. It's the first location to have Crash. Yeah.
wow. So
We really think of Seattle as kind of our showcase flagship.
wow, wow. Yeah. I mean, I live in San Francisco. Is there any place I can try?
Yeah, well, my co-founders are based in San Francisco, and so we have done the Yerba Buena Gardens. It's not permanent, but we popped it up there sometimes. So next time we've got a pop-up, we got to get you out.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I think it might be very interesting to try it. And for example, like because location based is that you have to travel to be in person to try it. Is there anything, for example, I can scan my like I don't know, like a download app and I can scan my room if I have a room, probably like a very big room, right? Empty place. I can just do it on my own in my own location. Is that possible?
We absolutely want want that and ultimately have a download. We don't have that yet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just for me, it's like, oh, unfortunately, I'm not living in those two places. And just because I want to try it and I have to, book a flight, book a hotel, be there and spend a few $1,000s to try the experience and fly back, it might be very, very delicate. So, yeah, so I was thinking about, for example, like, I tried a couple of like a VR experience, right? In Quest Store. A lot of them, I would say it's not like a location based, it's not as immersive as you saw. But I think the storytelling and all the interesting interaction, it's pretty much I would say it's not you move around your body, but since everything is simulated, so you just use teleportation. Yeah. Yeah. To move yourself around. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, there's been so much creativity for how to solve locomotion in VR. And and I think that, and also just how to make an experience, Beat Saber, it's all coming at you. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that's the interesting thing about like the VR experience is that it's because it's not location bounded, so you can do anywhere. However, the location base it has a lot of meanings tied to that location. Yeah, I think it pros and cons. Yeah, I think if there's like a you can provide both, that would be great. People can if people couldn't go to the real place, maybe they can try the trail one. It's not as good as in the location one, but at least they can download and just try it.
Well, we have a couple of demos that fit exactly on a basketball court. Then will fit exactly on a soccer field. So, this is a very predictable format in every town in America, so if we have those built, it'll make it much easier for people to bring it to their town.
Yeah, it's like a circus, right? Circus sometimes will move around into different towns, right? So
Allergy. I'm a big fan of circus.
why? Why? May I ask you why? Is that because you watch it and you fall in love with that and anything?
It was a massive form of entertainment, right? The biggest before radio. Uh, and it was always a showcase of human potential and capacity, and it was also brought a lot of magic and mystery to people's lives. And, I think that I have a real, nostalgic love for how it made me feel as a kid. And I think for it, that I think we need a little bit more magic and mystery in our lives. We've got the internet to just fix everything, but a lot of this is I think missing. And so I'm a huge fan of circus and carnival for that.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that, for example, like the circus. I remember I saw like there was like a VR. I think it's a French. I forgot the name of it. You probably know it. A French, very famous, probably.
Excurio?
It's like the sun and something. I forgot the name of it. La Soleil, the Soleil,
Oh, or
something,
Atelier de Lumière
something like that. Yeah, there's a sun.
on all the walls.
Yeah, I really I forgot the name, but I remember um they had a VR version of that circus, and you can wear it, and the all the performance is
Cirque du
just
Soleil.
yeah, 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 the solid, yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah, so I tried that experience, and I just feel like wow, it's very hard to sit so close to see the performer to do the performing. Usually when you get into the circus, you usually not really sitting. If you are lucky, you can sit in the front, but usually people sit on the back. But in the VR experience, you can see it's just right in front of you and interact with you. So it's just like adding, and in VR, there's no physical boundary. So it's like imagination go wild. So I really, really, I was amazed by that circus experience. Cool.
Circus is full.
Mm, cool. So, what, for example, like what do you think the key success, like principles to create a location-based, like a XR experience? What's the key principles?
You know, there's so many things that need to sort of work in concert. You need to have throughput, right? Like you can't have all this fancy technology and not be able to put a lot of people through it, because you need to sell enough tickets to rationalize the people and the staff to put people on it, and the development time to make it, and all of that depends on sort of what you're doing, where the content came from. So you've got this like durability of the equipment, throughput of the experience, the training of the staff, what does that look like? Where did they come from? And then, the venue and all of the aspects of the venue, that make it safe and make it accessible, and take care of those other things that humans want, and humans need. And the more time that the human is there, the more things they're going to need. We need water on some regular interval. We need to use the bathroom on some regular interval. We need to sit down and relax on some regular interval, and humans want food and beverage. And so all those things, the longer they're going to be there, the more you're going to need to think about those things. And so there's the core experience itself, and then there's everything that sits around it to make it a complete experience. And I think this was, in the early days of escape rooms, it wasn't hospitality and, attractions people that were running escape rooms. It was nerds that loved making puzzles. And so they weren't bringing a lot of that hospitality awareness that had come over 100 years of operators. And so oftentimes what happened, you walked into a little waiting room like it was a dentist, and you waited until it was time for your turn, and then you went and did it, and then you left and you went and had a beer and, burger somewhere else. And later the successful escape room said, hey, if we, people are here, they stay longer and drink beer and have food, we're gonna make more money. And so I think the when you start thinking about the public and entertainment experiences in public, you really want to think about the venue, how long people are going to be there, and sort of that four-dimensional chess that is the business model.
Wow. So, I would say, for example, Dead Dead Buster, like the restaurant. Yeah, Dave Buster. I remember every time when a long time ago, when I work around LA, and Saturday or Friday night after work, we will go Dave Buster to just to relax. It's not really about the food. It's about all the arcades.
All the arcades, yeah. I mean, hey, and you know what? There's 170 of those. Now, they're a public company worth billions of dollars, because it's, it is, about 50% of their revenue is food and beverage, and the other 50% is games. And you know what's great about the games? The margin's like 90%.
Yeah, right, right. We just keep putting money in and all the 3D simulation, and it's just all you need is the arcade and also electricity. That's it. The software is well replayed.
About that business model, Dominique, you are just renting time on this thing. There's no consumable.
People's precious time.
Yeah, impulse purchase time, and it's just and you got a little bit of work in repairing it sometimes. If it's a claw machine, you got to buy more garbage to put in it, but other than that, these things are you're just renting time on them. And so it just costs cash, right? That just and so that's very good business model for them because the food and the beverage has some profitability, but not nearly what the games do. And so really, really, it's a huge business.
Yeah, I think that restaurant, the reason why we go there over any other restaurant is just because, hey, as a team, we want to hang out and we don't have anywhere. And for example, if we went to ramen or barbecue, we just keep eating. Yeah. But if
You
we
only
can get yeah. And if we can get some ticket and, different teams, and sometimes, we just need some interesting games to play together as a team. So it's just
good
smart.
a good Dave and Buster's, a big Dave and Buster's will make 10 to 15 million dollars a year. Million.
Wow.
$50 million a year, and that is split across friends like you and yours, go in there at night. Yeah. And then that's also might, go back to work on Monday and you're like, hey, we should do our corporate event at, all it it's
And yeah. Yeah, the interesting
$4 or
thing
$5 million.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that it's an arcade. It's not the game PS4 game. You just sit there and play the small controller. It's the fully like and there's a real motorcycle. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, more immersive, right? The controller matches the real thing from the real life. This is a better user experience, And I think the more that we can involve more of your body, the controller matches, the sounds are all around you. Sometimes people experiment with scent, like you smell the motor oil, like how can you make it feel like the real thing?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is also where, you know, for all of our conversation, the real world has terrible game mechanics, right? No game mechanics, no learning objective for the learner, no entertainment objective for the guest, you know. But if we could take real life and add game mechanics to it in a way that is natural and feels like real life, that's I think the promise of XR and reality of being able to get closer and closer to a real life experience that also has great game mechanics. Say that it's a learning objective. There is an entertainment objective. You are taken on a journey, you know, but you feel like you have some agency because you're you. You're I know you get to move around and but
Yeah, yeah, I feel like very excited about, location-based mixed reality game. And also, every time when we talk about location-based, there's another types of device, which is mobile. What do you see for the headset versus mobile for
well,
accessibility?
let's
Yeah,
let's think about, you know, a graph of scalability and immersion.
yeah,
So as we think about this graph, something that is very scalable is something that's on everybody's phone,
the phone.
but it's very low immersion. So
It's so small. Then sometimes you will say that where is that thing?
imagine as a percentage of my visual field, this is 1%. I don't know, 0.5% of everywhere of my whole visual field. But if you had a headset on, it's 100% of your
Yes, yes.
right. And so a headset on that graph, super immersive, not so scalable, right? Because it's not everywhere. And so I really like to think of this line, this continuum of things that are really scalable. Let's do something there. That for the things that are really immersive, let's get them completely immersed. And Disney does this great, right?
Yeah.
You can watch a video on your phone, and then you can go to Disneyland and immerse yourself in the IP and drink, Star Wars. Yeah, and so how do we recreate what Disney does with billions of dollars and do it with thousands?
Yeah, yeah. I think that Disney is um definitely super strong IP, right? For example, like for me, a very successful types of like just selling IP, it needs a very strong story, right? For example, like Disney. the golden era of animation is embedded in millennial and millennial. So in our mind, or everybody, I think it becomes the culture, right? It becomes the culture. And Pokemon Go, the reason why it's so popular is because it hits to millennials. Like when I was like a kid, I watched Pokemon Go's every day. So it also hits that something like in our memory, and we played the game. That's why we have the drive to keep playing the game. So yeah, how do you think that can be, for example, like circus, right? How can we create a good IP? Yeah, that's
I mean, hey, I think IP is valuable in getting people to the experience, because IP, like you said, it's familiar. They remember it from childhood or nostalgia.
mm.
And so it will, you know, as a marketer, you have to do less educating to get people to the table. It's like, oh, well, Nipper Pokemon, we have a new way for you to do Pokemon. Come on. Oh, and it's funny because Niantic tried so many things to try to prove that what they had was a platform for this kind of
Think they have
love Pokemon.
Yeah, they have Harry Potter. I can tell you, like a long time ago, I was downloading the Harry Potter one. I was trying to draw like the magic thing and do things. For some reason, probably that hand tracking was not mature enough. I feel
It
frustrated. And
was early.
I think compare with Harry Potter, I know Harry Potter, everybody is talking about it, but the detail of the story is not as getting familiar with all those like a simple monster for people to remember. So I think that's also the reason why it's more successful in their Pokemon Go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's fascinating. The IP really was critical there, but I also think that particularly when we're talking about fully immersive entertainment, does it matter if they're Walking Dead zombies or just any zombies? I don't think so. Like once you're in a fully immersive room getting chased by zombies, it's that feels pretty immersive, you know. And maybe it could, once there's a lot of great immersive zombie experiences, IP will be able to differentiate. But I think in the short run, a really immersive experience that follows the tropes of,
Mm.
a detective or zombies or thriller, I think would be sufficient. But that the IP is helpful to get people to the table.
Yeah, yeah. And I also saw that you got your pitch to Shark Tank, right? I saw the report. I mean, I admire you. I feel like not many people dare to go there and let all those sharks and tear you apart. So tell us a little bit about your experience on the well-known worldwide show about like a Shark Tank experience. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and I am experienced junkie, and so I just love, it was really wonderful to be able to get to do that. And at the end, I'm thankful that they didn't invest, because we went and we ended up raising capital from an incredible group out of Northern California,
Mm.
and we have a wonderful partner there. So it was very, the Shark Tank experience was super helpful in getting our concept out there. I mean, but to date, I think it is still the biggest public demonstration of mixed
Yeah.
on our, I mean, we've had Mark Cuban and the founder of Kind Bars there, throwing wizard spells at each other. um, so it's fun to see that, fun to help educate the world on what's possible with this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that for example, like for Shark Tank, what did you learn? Like how do you think like for example, like it seems like there are some, back and forth rejections. What do you see like the negotiation? What
Yeah.
how can you negotiation like during that Shark Tank event?
I think that we are talking about something that's brand new.
Mm.
I mean, it's not just a new technology, but these are new business models. I
Yeah.
mean, like being able to overlay an entertainment experience on the mall common areas, that's a relatively new thing, and taking over public spaces in a way that people haven't really done before. And so, Shark Tank is not really the place for startups and unproven concepts like that. And so I think that is one thing, Shark Tank's, the killer formula for Shark Tank is like a consumer packaged good,
They've already sold a lot. Yeah.
yeah, they've already sold a lot, and they need, the sharks connections to help them sell more. And, I think that this is a new thing, and so we have not just with the sharks, but with the general public to educate on what this even means. What is a mixed reality downloadable theme park? No.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah, I mean, when I was like preparing the interview question, I was like, wow, this is like the first time that I saw it. I was thinking about maybe this is probably like the void, but I'm not sure. So I didn't try to.
It's funny. I mean, we are literally the world's biggest mixed reality theme park because we're a category of one.
Yeah, I think the void, right? The void was no longer continued, right? It seems like they have a contract problem with Disney or something.
They were such incredible innovators at the forefront of this era of virtual reality and haptic immersion. I mean, they just did so many awesome things,
Yeah.
and they were victim of COVID. They had a number of great locations that were shut down for
Yeah.
over a year. Just like Two Bit Circus, it was just to be operating location based entertainment in California was absolutely eviscerating.
And very expensive. If you operating in the, middle state, but that's probably more cheaper, right?
Well, and also, in Texas, they were down for 2 weeks, because of COVID, and they opened right back up, a month later. We were closed for 18 months and under restriction for 12, that's 2.5 years. It's just a completely different, impact, and many businesses did not recover from that. I mean, LA 23, I think, closed 80 restaurants and bars, because the long arm of COVID was once the rent relief things went away and all of the suspended programs, ultimately all those programs went away and people were like, "Hey, where's the money?"
Yeah, yeah. Where's the money?
Businesses were like, "What are you talking about? We are barely hanging on post-COVID," and there was just no answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think COVID really accelerate the digital world. I would say so-called metaverse, right? During that time, that metaverse was hype. We got a hype. Yeah, but the interesting thing is that right now we go back to more like a location, right? So yeah, so I think location based, like a circus in your town right now. Yeah, it's like everybody buy tickets and have fun, interact with the digital IP, right? It's a very, very interesting idea. And yeah, anything that you would like to mention or like to say that we haven't touched upon yet? Any topics?
I would throw out that anybody who's got, potential venues, 10, 20,000 square feet, they think might be a great fit for a dream park. We'd love to know. We're looking for people to work with, and anybody who's got content, if you got 3D models and beautiful things that would be wonderful to walk around or experience in a free roam adventure in mixed reality, we've got venues. And so I think for the people, for the audience of this show that have either content or locations, we'd love to talk.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully, anybody who listens to this podcast, XReality podcast, if you have a space that no longer needed, but for sure it needs to be safe, right? And or if you are XR developer and you wanna, create and with like a revenue in mind, not just showcase posts on LinkedIn, get a lot of likes, but actually get the real money. So feel free to contact Brent. Yeah, and I will add like a connected with Brent, the LinkedIn link in our podcast. Cool. Awesome.
Dominic, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. Yes. That's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episodes weekly. If you enjoy this conversation, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow and a 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you, and see you next time.